more uniparty shenanigans, so let's not waste any time.
I've done here what I believe to be the right thing. You let the chips fall where they may.
We'd like him to resign today. He should resign.
Cheers and a show of support for Ukraine as $60 billion in foreign aid for the war-torn country finally cleared the U.S. House.
So, over the weekend, as quietly as possible, Congress, or the uniparty, I should say, once again betray the American people, showing all of us where their loyalties truly lie. And if you don't believe me, then what would you make of this?
U.S. House voting Saturday to provide $95 billion to allies abroad. A major win for the White House.
A major win for the White House. A celebration. Ukrainian flags flailing all about the people's house, the American people's house. Yet they have our wants and needs, our interests in mind? Right.
Tonight, after 6 months of wrangling, the House has passed $95 billion in aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan.
After months of Republican opposition and gridlock, it's part of a $95 billion package with separate bills also passing for Israel and Taiwan.
$95 billion being spent to alleviate foreign problems, or at least cast the illusion that this in fact is the case, as our own country continues to deteriorate daily. I mean, we have our own border crisis to deal with, a literal invasion, for crying out loud. We have a housing crisis to deal with, a medical coverage crisis to deal with. Okay? A influx in already high crime crisis to deal with. But that isn't important. Not as important as Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. Okay? So the translation, that's what's more important than America. Funneling more money to Ukraine, which already surpasses over $200 billion, which are unaccounted for, by the way. Aiding a potential genocide as Israel and Palestine continue their over 50-year feud. And now provoking Iran, right? Trying to start World War III, potentially. Which also leads into them provoking China. They're poking that hornet's nest, right? Fundage for Taiwan for only the devil knows what. Submarines or some nonsense that I didn't even really look into fully, to be honest with you. Something to that effect. Something unnecessary. All I know is it takes away from the United States, further puts our country in distress under the guise of helping others. We can't help others. We can't help someone else's house when ours is in shambles.
It's an issue that's further divided a fractured Republican Party, with more GOP members voting against Ukraine aid than for it.
The Republican Party has a very small majority, right? So with that said, 101 Republican yays to 112 Republican nays. Okay? Had it been 5 Republican yays, the Democrats would have still gotten this bill passed. Okay? And Dementia Joe has already made it abundantly clear that as soon as this bill is passed, he will sign it. Okay? So, despite that being said, though, despite that being the case, 101 treacherous representatives decided to show you at face value where their loyalties truly lie. And obviously, they lie with Ukraine. They lie with Taiwan, and they lie with Israel. However, loyalty to their constituents, non-existent. Non-existent. And since the American public seem to want to remain naive to this same exact tactic that they use repetitively on loop, we will always suffer the consequences and we will always be taken advantage of. They are waving Ukrainian flags at the people's house for the love of all that is good. Can we not see that? Are we supposed to just turn a blind eye to that? Don't do it. Despite what they want us to do not do that.
Nothing is done to secure our border or reduce our debt.
That could cost Speaker Mike Johnson, with Marjorie Taylor Greene and two others, including Kentucky's Thomas Massie, threatening to try and oust him.
Rightfully so. I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. However, when the people are consistently betrayed over and over and over again, it makes it difficult to take any of them at their word. Thomas Massie is about the only person that has adamantly stood against all of these insane bills and policies. And that's the only thing, for me anyway, as far as I'm concerned, that is the only things that lends any credibility to these three Republican representatives taking this stance. And Marjorie does keep it a buck, but not more than Thomas. He's the only reason. But again, you've got 101 Republicans in here betraying their constituents, and that cannot be ignored. Yet we have to take their word that they truly want to do something that you obviously we know they do not. You ousted McCarthy, great, good. And Johnson, get him out of there. Absolutely, he deserves the same fate. Okay? He should. But then what? You elevate the next sellout? Repeating the cycle over and over and over again? This is the very definition of insanity, right? Repeating the same actions consistently, yet expecting it to yield a different result? We're crazy people if we do that, right? Think about it, man. Let me know how you feel in the comments.
A fourth foreign policy bill that passed today paves the way for a possible ban of TikTok if Chinese-based ByteDance doesn't sell its stake, Nancy.
I don't know about Nancy, my dear, but as far as Knoxx is concerned, this is all nonsense. Okay? They're attacking ByteDance because TikTok isn't as subservient. And don't get me wrong, they are, but they aren't as subservient as the trillion dollar corporation Meta. They're not as subservient as they are. You know Meta, the owners of Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and the devil knows what else they own. Okay? A corporation who colluded with the deep state and the government and do as they're instructed to do so. They follow orders. And what adds further insult to injury regarding this issue in particular is the same treacherous representatives, the same ones that sold us out and allowed for 702, allowed for a 2-year extension, which also allows for warrantless surveillance of American citizens, excluding, however, members of Congress and the Senate. They're excluded, okay? These are the same people who will sit there and fear-mongering, telling all of us how China's collecting your information and you're being surveilled, as they allow for American federal security agencies to do that same exact thing. Warrantless, so you don't even know. And it's been happening for a while, but now that we know that they extended it, now we know where it lies. Now we know where their passions truly lie. Yet, these are the same people who will sit there and try to tell you China's a danger. And there's no question they are. But you allow them to have their own law enforcement agency right here in New York City. That can't be questioned by American authorities, I might add. Huh? But it's for our protection? It's for your protection and for mine? For our benefit? Man, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? This is nonsense. Thank you for dropping by. You already know. follow me right here on YouTube. Make sure that you share. Make sure that you subscribe. Like the video. All of this stuff helps. Alternatively, you can follow me on X. You can follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. Pretty good, pretty neat. Peace.